Welcome to VGHL, the only FCC licensed student-run TV show in the nation. Is that correct or wrong?
Just a few adjectives.
You forgot the video game show.
Okay, I'll try it again.
Take two.
All right. Look.
This is taking the video.
Welcome to VGHL, the only FCC licensed student-run video game show in the nation. My name is Melody.
I'm Czar.
I'm Ryan.
And today, we're not doing a ranking vid. We are going to be discussing which of the Zelda games would make the best movie adaptation, because recently we've had a lot of movies as of late, like Tetris.
Well, that's the future coming out.
Yeah, but there's Last of Us
Sonic.
right now. So we have a lot of Zelda games to go through, including Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Adventure of Link, Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda, Oracle Season, Oracle of Ages, Zelda, A Link to the Past and Four Swords, Zelda, Wind Waker, Zelda, Four Swords Adventures, Zelda, The Minish Cap, Zelda, Twilight Princess, Zelda, Phantom Hourglass, Zelda, Spirit Tracks, Zelda, Skyward Sword, Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, Zelda, Triforce Heroes, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and the unreleased Tears of the Kingdom, which we won't be discussing.
You're missing three games.
What games am I
You're
missing?
missing Link and the Faces of Evil, Zelda and the Wand of Gamelon, and Zelda's Adventure, which are terrible games, but they are Nintendo Zelda games.
They weren't listed in the Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Yes.
blame Wikipedia.
Hyrule Warriors.
1 and 2, right? No, there's only one.
No, there's two.
Okay.
And so we have a little bit of criteria that we want to hit. We want to do aesthetic matching, which basically, what genre or what medium of film do we want to go for? Do we want to go for live action, animation, 3D animation? What are you guys feeling?
I think it has to be.
Yeah, here's where I'm torn. 2D or 3D?
If it did 3D, I'd be cool. Like Trigun, new Trigun 3D?
If you're doing 3D, it's got to be stop motion.
I did not like the new Trigun.
What?
Yeah. No.
Okay, that's unrelated. We're gonna talk
Yeah,
about that
that's
later.
unrelated.
I do think it looks good.
Yeah.
I don't think that's bad.
I think
3D.
it looks good for 3D as far as anime has come, but I think no.
I see. Here's
I think
the
it
thing
looks
that
silly.
I'm sitting
Anyway,
on.
we're getting off track.
Here's the thing I'm sitting on. I don't think it would look great as like the 3D that the Mario movie has.
Yeah.
Because that's too like I don't want to say plush. That's not the word, but you know what I mean. It's like too
Toy-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Zelda's
cartoon.
like
and
dark
Zelda's a bit more
fantasy.
like
Yeah.
dark.
That's like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio style stop motion.
Ooh, that would be pretty.
stop
for
motion
it.
would be fascinating.
But it has to be
Like-
specifically
Well, I don't-
the
What about,
people
like,
behind Guillermo
What about
del
like Puss in
Toro's.
Boots? Where it's like
Yeah.
the two like the frame skipping and stuff like
It's kind
that.
of comic-y though. I don't
That's
know
what I
if that's
mean,
like
yeah.
Zelda either.
I don't think that's a.
I have a counter.
Oh.
What about Ghibli?
Ghibli style like 2D?
Here's the thing.
think I like the
I think
character
the things that
designs.
I'm torn between two are like I would love that because I think Ghibli nails what a lot of Zelda is, and that like these
I think
open
Ghibli has that
worlds.
soft apocalypse vibe that a lot of Zelda games.
It also depends on the game, though.
My other thought
That's
is like classic Sailor Moon, like that type of like old anime. I think would suit Zelda really well.
I think now I'm leaning more 2D. For
So
sure.
are we retro anime?
I want to lean towards Ghibli because now I'm thinking Princess Mononoke, and I think like how they do
Ooh,
like.
I haven't watched Princess Mononoke personally, but that
But like I think
style-
one thing that's central to all of Zelda is like the Hyrule Field and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like these open grasslands, and I think Ghibli nails what that looks like and nails what it looks like in like wartime, which is like the other half of Zelda.
Yeah.
So I kinda
So
like
Ghibli style 2D animation?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so now we have to discuss what game we're going for. So before we start with the game, what games have we all played?
I played Ocarina, I played Majora's Mask, I played Link Between, the new one. The one
Link's
on 3DS.
Awakening? Oh no.
Link Between, is it Between Worlds or, because there's two versions. Sorry, I'm looking at the list to try and figure out which one I played. Where is it?
Yes?
Yeah, so sorry. Ocarina, Majora's Mask, A Link Between Worlds, and Breath of the Wild. Those are the four I played.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I've played Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Link's Awakening, and these don't count, but the Warriors games as well.
I'm trying to think. I've played Spirit Tracks. I've played both the Oracle games.
Opening with Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, I know. I like Spirit Tracks. It's not bad.
Uh-huh.
Jinx. Majora's Mask. I love Majora's Mask, but I'm also biased on that because I like horror stuff. So.
Nah, I agree, even though I haven't played it. Carry on.
Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword. I think are all the ones I've played.
Sure. I've played. This might take a second.
Minish Cap. Sorry.
I've done Link to the Past, Between Worlds, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword. What's the Switch one?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Technically,
I've
you.
done 4 Heroes and 4 Seasons, and there's one more, but I can't remember. Oh, Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks.
Wow.
Oh, okay. There's 2 more then.
So
Well, have you played Wind Waker? Because I'm gonna add that to mine. I have played
And
Wind Waker,
Waker.
which I always forget.
And the first hour of Wind Waker in like a Super Clips. That's what I played.
Oh, in a super.
In
Oh
a
my god,
Super
you
Clips?
and me? No, I know
No.
exactly what you're talking about.
I remember because I was grounded at the time, but I was playing Wind Waker in that Super Clips.
I know exactly what you're
like-
talking about. That's so
Do
weird.
they have consoles in Super Clips?
Yes. So
What?
like,
Really
this
weird.
is a weird tangent, but like when I used to be a child, my parents would take me to go get haircuts, and like the kids section where they would take kids to get haircuts, they had like consoles and video games
That's
you can play.
why.
And I distinctly remember playing.
They had Wind Waker.
They had Wind Waker.
The most I got, like when I would get my hair cut, is like one of those like weird wire things where you move around
yeah.
the wooden pieces.
Like at a doctor's office.
I got
Yeah.
on one of those big chunky wall boxes.
Yeah. What?
You know those big chunky wall boxes that had like random board games turned into video games? I had Pool.
Anyway,
Anywho,
Put in a picture. I'll know what it is.
so are there any of the games that were like hard no on starting out?
Breath of the Wild.
I'm a hard no on Breath of the Wild too.
Okay, actually, never mind. I can kind of. I think the vibe of Breath of the Wild works, but there is not story there.
No, there is story. I just think the problem is that
it's all in the
you have to, I don't think that's bad. I think you can have Link adventure around, like kind of collecting things, sit down, remember what the past is, because a lot of like Breath of the Wild is this like fascinating story of like what is the downfall of Hyrule. I don't think that's a bad story. I just think that there's too much open-endedness to like Link.
I
is
agree with
doing.
that.
See,
Like
that's
so much
such
of
a-
that game is player driven that
Yeah.
like how do you translate that to a movie?
Like I think the
Right.
problem of like I have to collect all the shrines and stuff like that. It's like that's a bit much.
But I think it could work
'Cause,
for
like,
a TV show.
I think that would work.
That kind of thing.
Like back and forth. You could do that a lot like Witcher actually, where it's like the 2 parallel stories.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just past and present. But like really, Breath of the Wild, your only objective is to get the Master Sword and then fight Ganon.
Yeah.
You don't really have to get the Divine Beasts.
And another thing about Breath of the Wild is that Ganondorf isn't present in the game, and so if we were going off of key characters, then that's kind of a big character
Yeah.
that's absent.
Because you don't have just a villain to
Yeah.
Well, like
you have
you have
audiences attached
Ganon,
to.
but like
Does it-
Ganon
It's
and
just a
Ganondorf
dark
are, like,
presence,
Yeah, it-
you know.
yeah.
Like
It's-
it would be cool, but it doesn't give much to attach
like
to.
Ganondorf is a very foreboding.
Here's my weird pitch. Let me preface this by saying I haven't played Hyrule Warriors, but isn't Hyrule Warriors like there's a Hyrule Warriors that's connected to Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Second.
the
That's
prequel.
the second one.
Yeah.
it's
Isn't
not
that
good.
like the prequel to like?
Unfortunately, it's kind of lame.
but like,
Lame. It
Yeah.
runs-
So
but if we're
here's
just
the
talking
thing.
about the story of like how Hyrule got to this like war torn state, like,
It is,
could that
but,
make
like,
a cool movie?
It make you like here. It's another instance in where you'd have to do a lot of the writing in your own time, and not pull from source material. You would be pulling characters, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Because the
Okay.
way the prequel works is that like a small
There's a time.
a small guardian goes back in
thing.
time and starts
Oh, yeah.
leading.
So like Sidon and all
remixes
of
the whole
that, they
thing.
come back
Yeah.
from the
Never
past
mind.
and
And
save
it's
the
not-
old.
it's not the
yeah,
best.
it's
I thought it was just like, oh, this is the war that happened.
Yeah.
before.
If it was
But
that,
even-
it'd be a lot
if it
sicker.
was, it
but
would
they-
be cool. It would be
they,
so.
they
cool.
introduced like new villains that don't need to be there. so-
Oh
It would
yeah.
almost be too much of a setup than an actual movie.
Yeah, I feel like Breath of the Wild just feels like a prequel more
Yeah.
than like and
Like
movie
I
on
would
its
love to
own.
do some sort of movie in like the universe of Breath of the Wild. It's just like the
I think Breath of the Wild
The-
could do it.
the
I
games
just
that
think
we
it's
have.
like for a movie, there's too much like time dilation to like
Yeah.
what needs to happen.
so I
We're
think
ruling
all-
out Breath of the
yeah.
Wild unanimously. Is there another game that we'd like to take off the block? Kind of on the same page as Breath of the Wild. I don't think Ocarina, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. Sadly.
Ocarina-
Ocarina,
Actually, yeah.
Ocarina is too much back and forth of like past and present, and I don't know
Yeah.
how to reconcile that within. a
Yeah.
movie.
Not at all.
Without
Because,
like,
like,
rewriting a lot of like I collect all the things in one
Yeah,
dungeon.
because
you
it's
know?
such an integral part of like the narrative too. Is like you become adult Link and then go back to being young Link.
and to like speak like kind of briefly about how they do this in like Zelda narratives and stuff. For some reason, when I was a child, my local library had a lot of Legend of Zelda Minish Cap manga, and I read most of it. But the way they do it is that the way they like consolidate a dungeon for like Zelda's story is that Link enters the dungeon, goes, "What is this?" Like kind of hacks and slashes through like 2 pages of monsters, and then grabs the item. End of dungeon. Don't even really like care about the boss that much. It's like a one-off thing. So like, if that's what they do for like actual story bits, imagine that compressed over 8 dungeons for like one movie.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of the same. And like you can montage it, but that's not like the fun or like the scary parts of it, you know?
I mean, low key, pitching that dungeon thing, that's kind of what The Last of Us is doing. You have these events that aren't really fleshed out in the game necessarily, and then you write your own thing. But you could low key make that fit with a dungeon. Add your own characters in there, do your own thing with it, and still. I mean, not that I'm saying I would want that, but you could.
But there's a lot more interesting stuff that happens outside of dungeons in Zelda commonly.
That's fair.
And I also think that like personally, what I think from Zelda, I don't need a lot of like new characters to care about.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that you really need to just focus on Zelda, Link, and whoever like that party like tag along is for that. Whether it's like Fee, like Midna.
Yeah, maybe. No. All right, anyway, so do we want to segue into what we think the best Zelda adaptation would be?
Yeah, down the line, we should say what the best movie is. Or what our best adaptation would be, yeah.
I'm between 2.
Yeah.
I'm between...
You gotta pick one.
I gotta pick one?
Yeah.
You gotta pick one.
Yeah,
I mean, you could say both, though.
No.
But just pick one. Never mind.
Pick one because we need options, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Come back to me.
Okay. Me?
Yeah.
Skyward Sword. And Sam.
Okay.
So, can I explain mine first, or do I just need to say the game?
Say it, and then we'll explain.
Majora's Mask.
Okay. I didn't think about it, but I'll go with Twilight Princess.
Hell yeah.
Majora's Mask was one of mine, so I'm gonna say Link Between Worlds.
See, I think these are all good candidates.
So do we want to...
I'll explain why I think mine's good.
Honestly, okay. I think Majora's Mask has the best, like, concept. Like, I think it's, like, the coolest... It's just the coolest...
It's the most cinematic.
Yeah, and it has, like these themes of, like, grief and death and mourning. And I think with that, you can, like, flesh out characters that don't really have a lot of character in the game. And it would be really easy to add on to that into a movie.
Also,
adaptation.
I also think
hear me out as this. A horror movie, A24, Ari Aster, put them on this kind of story. No, because Ari Aster's stories commonly deal with grief and this loss, whether it be family, whether it be, like, just a significant other or whatever it is. Or just like loss of self, even in his newest thing. And so I think putting Ari Aster on that story of Majora's Mask, where there's so many themes like that he's already dealt with, I feel like you could really deliver a good Majora's Mask story that builds out those characters.
I think a movie of Majora's Mask forgets what the core of Zelda is,
That's
and that it's an adventure game. And it's an adventure. There's a lot of scary shit. There's a lot of scary shit that happens in Zelda. But the thing is that for the most part, you're traveling around and collecting. You're adventuring. You're finding these dungeons. It's not... the grief parts are at the end and when you find what these dark things are. But beyond that, it's like, shoot, I'm a child. I turn into a monster.
But just because you don't lose the element of the adventure aspect of it. You build out that adventure with these themes ingrained in it because they're already there.
Sure,
you don't have to make anything up.
Majora's Mask is like missing a lot of like primary Zelda things. Like, dude, is like I haven't played Majora's Mask.
No,
is the
it's not.
Triforce there? And then is Zelda there?
No.
No Ganondorf either.
No.
It's just the big moon.
But it's scary.
Like, yeah, sure.
I think Majora's Mask would make an awesome Zelda movie, but like if we're going off of like a first Zelda movie release, I don't think it would be good to introduce people into the world.
I don't.
That's fair.
This is what I tell people: Majora's Mask is not the first Zelda game you should play.
I disagree.
I fully agree.
I feel like Majora's Mask would put your standards like too high.
No, I don't think it puts your standards too high. I think you should care about Zelda. I think you should like. What Zelda is to me is the classic fantasy of a hero goes to a tower to save a princess.
The hero's journey. Anyway.
And Majora's Mask messes with that a lot because it's not necessarily that story. It's mostly the story of somebody overcoming their own problems, and it's not Link because Link has no problems ever, and that's a Zelda problem generally.
Well,
I don't think that's
sometimes
even a problem
Link has
in
problems.
This is another conversation. Never mind.
I think it's a problem when you want to make a movie and you have a protagonist.
Sure.
Especially
because for video games specifically.
I don't think for this animation we can afford a silent protagonist. We could, but it'd be really hard for it if a lot of it is Link alone. I also think that like it's just it's sorry, I'll figure it out later. It feels like it's too dark, and this isn't what like Zelda always is. You know, I think we need to lean into the adventure aspect. Also, it falls into weird Zelda timeline stuff where it's like I believe that's if you succeed in Ocarina of Time, this is the path you go down. And it's just like, oh, okay, having to like renounce Zelda's weird timeline nonsense. It's like, why not put Ocarina of Time before then, so you know what this kid has gone through to make this story scary, and you know.
I'll leave it on this. It's the best Zelda game if you like scary things. Go play it.
Yeah.
Sure. Hands down, I'll give you that.
So for Twilight Princess, okay, Twilight Princess has the best companion character in all of the Zelda games. Can we agree with that?
Hands down.
Okay.
I agree.
Yes. And so with that in mind, I think Twilight Princess would make for really good banter because, like, I mean, we have a silent protagonist. Link doesn't really talk. But I think with Twilight Princess, it'd be easier to have him speak without it being so strange.
Jarring.
Yeah, so jarring. And then on top of that, even though Zelda's not a super fleshed out character with Twilight Princess, we do see her motivations. And I don't think it would be too far of a stretch to make her a more prominent character. And then, of course, there's Midna, who has, like, her whole arc. But to argue against my own pick, I don't know if we would want that to be an introductory thing because Midna is very prominent in that. And then she's, like, absent in every other
I don't
game.
think it's bad. You say that for, like, a lot of Zelda companions, too. Or even the fact that Zelda changes from game to game is, like, kind of a drastic, like, thing. I think that the one thing I would have against it is that you have a lot of ground to cover with that game. That game is one of the biggest Zelda games just in, like, size alone. And that's a problem.
And there's one more problem I have with Twilight Princess, and that's Zant.
I love Zant!
I think he's cool. I think he's cool, but I feel like it would, like, if we're going into a movie adaptation, I think it would make not a lot of sense for this weird guy to come in, and then Ganondorf just come and take over, and we don't know who Ganondorf
in my mind,
is.
like, Zant is Girahim 1.0, if that makes sense.
Elaborate.
Girahim is a character from Skyward Sword and is like the second main antagonist essentially, but he's weird and creepy. He's got a really long tongue that they make a big point of showing you about. But it's like it's the same level of like kooky and scary that Zant is because they both feel like out of place. The problem with Zant is that Twilight Princess is already this dark fantasy adventure, and then you have this weird nonsense. Whereas Girahim works because it's like this classic adventure, and then all of a sudden it's this weird, unsettling nonsense that like you don't know how to like process, if that makes sense. I like Zant a lot. I do think that that most Zeldas kind of suffer from like, hey, you need to care about this one person who is the Dark Wizard, and then Ganon shows up out of nowhere. Who is the actual Dark Wizard?
I think Zant is fine, but with the two of them being in, I think that's where I have my problem. Because you wouldn't be able to give time to both of them in a movie's length.
I also think it's interesting because you chose the story with like one of the least amount of Zeldas possible. She dies halfway through that game, and then comes back as the final boss.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
I guess my question though, do we want to hammer home? Is this supposed to be introductory? Like, are we trying to bring in people to get another movie, or are we making this for the fans? Because that also determines, like you said with the Majora's Mask, it's the same kind of thing.
Anything works, right? Because here's the thing. I think if they actually make a Zelda movie, you can change Link and who plays Zelda in every movie. Because all of them are different depending on what you make an adaptation of.
Okay.
I think the goal is just to create a good movie. If this is the first one with most of Zelda, it feels weird to call it the Legend of Zelda, you know?
I think the issue is, though, so many of the games, like so many of the modern Zelda games especially, rely on like the player already knowing what Hyrule is, like what the Triforce is, like what all of these things that have like kind of been like ingrained with like most people who have like played one Zelda, you know these things.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
A lot of them play on those tropes.
And that is why Skyward Sword would be the best adaptation. So a lot of people don't like Skyward Sword. They're all losers. But
Listen. Okay. No, I'll let you speak first.
Skyward Sword has probably one of the best story of some Zeldas ever. Also, you have the thing where all of these characters actually have like traits. They speak. Zelda speaks in this game. Zelda has a full storyline based on just being Zelda. And I also think but that's never happened before.
No, I'm just laughing because Zelda has a storyline just on being Zelda.
Yeah, it's like who is Zelda? Who is the person that you're supposed to be saving in all these games? Yeah. And this tells you why the hell you should care about Zelda and why she's special. I think it's in my mind, picturing it as a Ghibli film, it's very like castle at the sky at the beginning and then Mononoke on the ground, which is why it's like this weird duality of everything's lovely and peaceful down here, and then it's like...
It also does have like some Spirited Away. Am I forgetting the title?
No, Spirited Away.
Yeah, Spirited Away aspects once you get onto the ground, I feel.
And it also, like, Impa is fully a character, and, like, Skyward Sword as a base game has one of the most, like, saddest moments that spoke to me as a gamer is when finding out that old Impa has been in front of you the whole time. I think that twist is magnificent. I also think that Zelda learning that she's bound to fate. And, like, this is her role.
You know what?
Makes an interesting character.
I think it has just the perfect amount of, like, two differing worlds, because Zelda loves to do that. Like, you have, like, past and present in Twilight Princess. You have the Twilight and you have the Overworld in Link Between Worlds.
It's just straight up two different worlds.
Yeah. And they have that just a smidge in Skyward Sword, but it doesn't control the game. It's not like a main component.
No, it's just a theme. It's
not a mechanic.
It's like,
a lot
this
of the
is
other times
my
it's a
home
mechanic in the
versus
game.
like this is like the world where monsters live.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm in normal Hyrule Field. I'm in Twilight Hyrule Field, and I'm a wolf. Rawr.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Twilight Princess wouldn't work.
Twilight Princess, you'd be a wolf for a lot of that movie, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but still not the best.
Wolf's talking Twilight.
Anyway, I think Skyward Sword kind of hits a few things, and I also think it fully nails, like, this is what Hyrule is at the very end. Like, this is the creation of Hyrule, and this is what we care about as, like, a story.
Yeah. And it definitely should be mentioned that Skyward Sword is the official origin to all of the Zelda games.
And that's, I don't think I care about that as much. I think what I care more is that it's the story of how the Master Sword becomes Master Sword. Like, it takes place and it sets what the legend is.
It's the story of, like, why these characters are stuck in this
constant
never-ending
loop. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you care about Zelda, and more importantly, you understand why Link cares about Zelda. Link is a character in this game. Like, he has the most personality that he ever has in any other game. But anyway, Czar, do you want to talk about your game?
Right, so my game is Link Between Worlds, and I will preface this. I think this movie would need, like, some other movie before it, because so much of it is reliant on, like, knowing what Hyrule is, knowing what the Triforce is, knowing the relationships between these characters. But, like, to my mind, there's, like, a main cast of 4 in this movie. You got Link, you got Zelda, you have Ravio the Merchant, and you have Hilda, which is, like, Zelda's counterpart in explaining. I need to back up a little bit. We got 2 worlds, right? Hyrule, Lorule. That's actually what it's called. So Hyrule, Link and Zelda, Lorule, Ravio, and Hilda. Which I think Ravio being from Lorule is actually a spoiler, so my bad. But basically, like, I think just having the story, like, around these 4 characters and watching them adventure through both would be really cool. I did have to look up, this was the first Zelda game I played. It's been a long time, so I did have to, like, look up the Wikipedia. But it is very, like, classical, like, Legend of Zelda. Like, it's Link getting Master Sword. He's going through to, like, all these places. I think the 7 sages are there. I'm pretty sure Ganon is present.
Ganon is the final boss.
Yeah.
But
Yuga
like, is also
he's, like, merged with Yuga.
Yeah.
Is what I was reading. And honestly, I might want to, like, if we were adapting this, I might want to change that to it's just, like, Ganon as, like, an omnipresent thing. I feel like
a lot of... In Skyward Sword, I would keep Girahim, because Girahim is cool because he's the evil version of the Master Sword. And I care about that a lot because I'm me. But most of these, if you get rid of the person before, if you get rid of Zant, you get rid of Yuga, if you get rid of Aghanim, if any of you know who Aghanim is.
No.
That's the dark wizard in Link to the Past.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Then you functionally get to care about Ganon more.
Yeah.
Like, who is this monster that is controlling everything?
I think that's a weakness in basically literally every single Zelda game. You never get to care about Ganon as a villain.
I think Link... what's the boat one?
Wind Waker?
I think Wind Waker does it very
Ooh,
well.
you're right. None of us chose
Yeah, none of
Wind
us-
Waker.
Especially Ghibli animation style.
I'd argue it worked better as a TV show.
Yeah,
Wind Waker?
Yeah, Wind Waker.
Why is that?
I feel like it's very
the setup of like you are on a boat sailing to different islands.
anthology.
I also think, I think it gives you time to care about the boat.
If we're doing
I'm gonna swing left and I'm gonna talk about Between Worlds again.
Yeah, sorry.
Like a big part of that game is like Hilda is like giving Link quests to do. Essentially, I think if we did a movie, bring Hilda in, have her be part of these adventures. You know, like have them be the duo, and like if they are the duo, I was gonna say maybe Link will be silent. I don't think. I just don't think.
I feel like
protagonists
functionally
will
for
work.
most of these, with the exception of Twilight Princess, Link has to talk.
Yeah.
And that ruins a lot of nuance for some people, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because
And that's the thing that
you're-
only works because it's a game.
yeah, you're no longer projecting. But I do think Link has to be like kind of a stoic, like I understand what my sense of duty
Yeah.
is. Kind of like Link in Breath of the Wild, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with with Between Two Worlds, like if we have them adventure together, we see them like go through this journey together, it makes the end better, I think, as well, because like at the end there's the reveal that Ravio is Link's counterpart from Lorule, which I remember as a little kid blew my mind. It was like, oh my god, which I think that's could be really cool.
I also think the twist that Hilda is evil is a good one.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Hilda is the reason that she's trying to summon Ganon so that she can save her world and not yours.
Okay, that's also a good choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it exists on a weird paradigm of like we care a lot about the Triforce in this game.
Yeah. I remember the Triforce being like a big part of it. Like are you collecting the different parts of the Triforce? I think you are, right? Okay.
I have an argument against Skyward Sword. I thought about it.
Ooh.
What happens? Like, we have these characters that are wonderfully established, but like, what happens in between? Like when Link is just adventuring. You know, when you think about Twilight Princess, there are a bunch of like key moments. Like there's like the carriage run when they're trying to bring back Prince, whatever the frick his name is, and save his life. And then there's like when you save Colin and when you meet Ilia again. Like there's a bunch of moments that like could make a really cohesive movie to where I don't know if Skyward Sword has that.
I think it does. I think Skyward Sword does something that no other Zelda game does, and that you run into Zelda frequently. So the thing is, it's this constant like my goal is in front of me, but I can't reach it because Link is trying to save Zelda, but she's following her path as like the girl chosen by the goddess, and he has to reconcile that she has to like go on her path and he has to go on his as like the hero chosen by the goddess. And I think that's cool. I honestly think that you can remove a lot of dungeons, put them there as cool set pieces if you want, but most of Link Skyward Sword is talking to people that matter. There are dragons that you have to talk about, and I think talking to them and establishing like this mystical confluence left behind by like the goddess, you know, makes sense. It's you care a lot more about like the kind of divinity behind it.
To counter again, I feel like as far as a hero, like Link feels like the people's hero so much in Twilight Princess. He interacts with so many people on a personal level, and he helps them. And I think for a Zelda movie, that is a very like
I do agree,
something that we really need.
Like Link as the people's hero is like such an important aspect to his character.
And his origin's really good in Twilight Princess too. He's a ranch hand. He's like, what is it called? Like, yeah, you know,
like
a
a
kind
normal
of chosen
dude.
one kind of
Just a guy.
situation.
Not to promote Link Between Worlds, but it's the same thing. He's a blacksmith's like apprentice and just a normal guy. Right.
So
I feel like Link Between Worlds is going to give the most satisfying ending, though. Like, why? Like, because the thing we got to remember is the movie has to have a reason to exist. And so by the end of it, you have to have the story tie up in a way that's like, this feels meaningful. And I feel like with that, it gives me too much IP vibes for Skyward Sword, because it is the very beginning. So you would have to find a way to change how you end.
Yeah,
so it's not just like, come to the next one.
It is the start of an adventure. I think you can also end it on kind of like a dour note if you chose. Well, it's like you defeat, God, what's his name? Demise is the god that Ganondorf turns into.
Yeah.
You can end it on like, now we have these characters who are bound to this eternal curse.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which is kind of like the onus of what Zelda is. It's this constant cycle that goes over and over again.
Yeah.
I feel like with all of the games we've chosen, none of them have like a really happy ending. Like Link separates, if you haven't played Twilight Princess, sorry, he separates with Midna at the end. And then Link in Skyward Sword, he separates with Fi. I don't know the ending for
was a
like
happy
between.
ending.
It was a happy ending.
Link and Zelda return to Hyrule. Lorule is restored with their Triforce. Link returns the Master Sword to the pedestal back in the forest, and they live happily ever after.
I like that.
I think getting rid of Fi is a happy moment. For players, but also
that came out of nowhere.
Fi like leaving, because Fi is like the sword incarnate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not leaving with like this is our final moment. It's leaving with this like I will always be there for you moment. And especially when you're cursed by a god of death to like repeat your lives eternally, it's this moment, or it's sort of like finding the Master Sword now is, you view it as it's important to Link because it's his most important companion. Every game going on from this.
Man, we have some really good arguments.
I think all these do different things. I think it comes down to the decision of what kind of movie do we want. Because like yours feels like it sets up IP. Yours feels like it gives us Link as a hero. And yours gives us like the complete happy ending kind of vibes, adventure. Mine is just freaky. But so it depends on what we want out of a movie, I feel like.
I feel like you're kind of souring my like you're yucking my
No, I'm not trying to. I really like the idea of like you basically are setting up future things.
Sure, but like
I don't mean in like a bad way.
No, I know, but you're also forgetting that this is like from beginning to end. This is like the truest adventure story. It's someone everything was completely normal, like falls in love with the girl next door, and then realizes he has to save her.
I will say it does have some good slice of life moments too, with like Groose and all the little side characters that he interacts with on at Skyloft. Whatever.
Yeah, I also think like Midna is easily the best character in that game.
Midna's so
hands
good.
down. It's the first time she's ever been fully realized as a character.
Midna's lament. I didn't even mention like that whole section where like you're saving Midna. It's just such a powerful
The Death
moment.
of Zelda is a very cool moment.
Yes, that too.
And I guess there's like
so
no
powerful.
way to like mess up the hero's journey in that one, because it's all there for you. Like
It's all laid
it's
out.
so hard to
Literally,
fuck
I
up
think
that.
the funniest thing
mess
about-
up that adaptation.
The funniest thing about Skyward Sword is that what you're cutting out is a little bit of dungeon to focus more on character,
And the toe
all
monster.
of
The toe monster, the weird thing, the toe thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. The thing that is there that you have to like kill 3 times before you actually get to Demise.
I love that guy.
I just love
The what is it? The imprisoned. The imprisoned is sick.
I like
You-
calling
I feel
it
like-
toe
guy,
monster now.
sick.
I'm
No,
calling
here
him
it
toe
is.
monster.
Like you're gonna cut out the thing, cut off his toes or whatever, make it a more interesting fight. Throw bombs at him, make the wind gust more important. But like the Demise is the coolest thing because it's like, oh god, like it's this giant monster that's half formed. Like what's it gonna be like when it finally escapes? And then you get the reveal as a player when it escapes. It's Ganon. It's Ganondorf. Like this is that is the man. You get a lot of like really cool setup for Zelda in this one.
Can we make a motion controls joke in it?
Yes, you can make a motion control.
Man.
Hey,
I just want Zelda to like grab something.
Should
It's
we
like,
eliminate some before we move on?
I'm so torn.
I'll eliminate Majora's Mask.
Okay.
I
love it, but
your
I don't
two to
think
go.
it's good.
I like these two.
But I like mine.
I like yours a lot. I think yours should be
Because like you can also have a B plot with like what if we saw what was
what
happening with
Ravia was
Zelda?
happening.
No, not even,
Zelda gets put in a painting, and that's it for her.
we can change that. Like that's the thing with movie adaptations. We can't it's impossible to stick one to one.
I feel like you shouldn't
have
change
to
that
things.
factor though. That feels like a big factor.
Sure. What if we explore what she's doing in the painting?
See, my
or
thought
something like that.
is
Yeah.
what your movie should focus on. Sorry, this sounds like rough. My thought is
We
like,
are planning a Zelda movie
Yeah.
here.
yeah,
Like,
my thought is like, if you're gonna do a B plot, you should see the downfall of Low. Like, you should see why.
But that would be flashbacks, no?
I guess, like you should see why Ravio didn't make the cut as a hero. And then, like, I feel like if you're intersplicing that between Link going on his adventure and learning why Ravio didn't sit his, you see, like, the rise of Hilda as an evil character.
I think at that point, though, we're just like if we're putting flashbacks, I think that's just a different movie. Like, I'd rather see these like hints that Hilda is up to like Hilda's the reason for this as she's adventuring with Link.
there's a way
and,
that
like,
you can
finding
like
this
set it
stuff.
up to
Yeah.
where it'd be really satisfying betrayal for
Like
the
what?
audiences.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That being said, I don't know anything about A Link Between Worlds, so or is that even the
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
the right.
So
I was on the movie train, but now I'm thinking like that as a TV show gives you so much more flexibility to explore it. I don't know. What do you
It
think
sounds
on
like
that?
I'm about to be cut.
No, because I like it still as a
Goodbye.
movie, but I'm lost.
Ryan.
You are the decider.
Tommy is set
Oh,
on
I'm the just.
Skyward Sword. I am set on Twilight Princess. So you have to choose which of these two games.
My
is
my
being
vote is
cut.
Skyward Sword.
How about
before
this?
you.
How about this?
Because I don't know how
Okay.
you're going to reconcile going into the walls.
So
Yeah.
am I voting to cut one of y'all, or what are we doing?
Yes.
I'm so
Or
confused.
yeah.
Or am I
Yes.
voting one of you three to
Yeah.
be?
Or I think you vote one of the three to be the thing.
Oh God. Okay. That's.
Oh,
fun.
wait.
That's what I mean. That's like too much. I
Because
need someone
really
to pitch
quickly,
to me though.
We just hit 35 minutes on the recording.
That's okay. I can edit it if I need to. I'll do it. Cause like this is interesting.
But
As
okay, so do
hell.
you want to choose one to put up, or are we cutting?
cut or choose.
Oh, choose one to cut. Yeah, and we
Okay,
will
okay.
duke it out between the
Can-
last two.
Uh-huh.
Can I get the best pitch you can give it as a movie? Like, give me a brief. Doesn't have to be intense, but like a brief
Beginning, middle,
event, beginning, middle, end kind
Sure.
of thing. Like, put it into a structure.
Sure, you're dropping this ordinary character, Link, into this foreign world where he's adventuring with Hilda, and as they're adventuring together to save Lorule, Link is slowly figuring out, oh, Hilda is the reason for this, until the end when the reveal happens. But they beat Ganon, everything goes back to normal, happy ending.
And how do you handle all the subplots within this?
I think we either like just completely axe to like stick with like because the core of the movie will be these two like going on like A to B, they're going on the adventure, right? So like I think you can have like some aspects like some of those subplots as they go on the adventure, and like those are kind of like not disconnected but like woven in as they go. But ultimately it's just you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like a Twilight Princess.
Okay, so we have our beginning. Link is a normal ranch hand, and he is thrown into this world of Twilight where everyone is, in anguish when they are in these Twilight forms. And he goes throughout his journey, slowly regaining, like, people that he has cared about in his life. And Midna, at the same time, is witnessing his kindness. And, she starts out as kind of like a low-key antagonist. And then at the end, we have her committing, like, the ultimate sacrifice. And I just think it's really heartbreaking.
And how do you handle like the wolf sections? Is I guess my biggest question.
Pork, pork.
Which like there's no wrong answer to this. Like how you think it would.
That is a good question. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
There, like, I don't want to say to cut it out, but like, also, is it really that important? So
That's
It
like
depends.
that's the whole thing of that story.
Yeah, that's.
The hero touched.
I mean, I think I still have my decision because I'm thinking in terms of Studio Ghibli animation. I feel like Twilight Princess fits it better
that's true.
as well. In telling that story, you're gonna get the most out of that animation.
And to be fair, if Link does transform into a wolf, and we're doing Studio Ghibli style, I think it works.
Yeah.
Because we've had animal transformations in a bunch of Studio Ghibli
But I'm
films.
envisioning Princess Mononoke animation
Yeah.
to be specific with like because that does look different
Yeah.
and distinct than other. I just
Okay.
think Between Worlds works better as a TV show, honestly, because it's a great story. It's just the whole. There's so much to
I'm
tell
gonna remember
within it.
this.
Oh God, I take it back.
Zara will
I take it
remember
back.
this.
So I think
Except you
Tommy
sold
has
me
to
on
give,
going back to play that game. I want
it's a
to
good
play
game.
it.
Tommy, I think you have to give your pitch, and then we're deciding between.
Is it me and Czar picking?
Yeah, I think at this point I've joined the council.
Welcome to the council. That was the
Losing my
strategy.
job, actually promotion. Anyways,
Exactly.
continue with your pitch.
Yeah, if you decide that your Zelda game isn't the best game, you get promoted into choosing which game
You become
is
the
the best
executive.
game.
Really quickly, because we're running out of time here. Skyward Sword is, I think, the like classic Zelda story. You start as a character who lives in kind of a utopia, an idyllic world, and then you learn that there's another world that's been beneath you the whole time. In learning this, you realize a lot of things about yourself, and that you're actually like this one person in this like large cosmic like destiny. And it's your job to like reconcile like following your destiny and also being the person that you always like have been. So like you've always been this normal guy who's lived, that everyone like looks up to as like a big brother type. At the same time, you're like this paladin chosen by a goddess to like save the world as you know it and reunite the sky with the land. And I think it's like this like massive like sprawling thing with like all of these different like areas to like care about that is fascinating. And it's learning about the people around you in a different sense. Like Zelda hasn't always been like the girl you've had a crush on. She's technically always been like this this goddess like to this destiny. And watching her become who she's supposed to be also means that like you're losing the person that you knew. And so there's a lot of duality to these stories that I think are interesting.
Okay.
We can cover our ears.
Yeah, y'all cover your ears. Where are you leaning? Just point.
I am leaning. They're not looking.
Interesting.
What about you? What about you? Okay.
Yeah. So what's your reasoning?
My reasoning is I think Link is more of a character in this, just to me, because like Twilight Princess to me, from the way it was described, having not played it, it feels more like Midna's story rather than Link's story.
I guess, yeah.
And like this is, from the way Tommy was describing it, it sounds like Skyward Sword is like very Link and Zelda focused. And then just having like, again, that duality that they mentioned, I think would play well.
Yeah. I guess where I'm stuck is like, given the style we chose, I think that fits the style better. Plus, to me, making this movie, I feel like I want to make it more for the fans than general audiences. And I feel like this one feels more like general audience. But
I feel-
also, like, I don't think that's a bad
Yeah.
thing.
I feel like the style still works for this one though.
Yeah.
Because like,
Even with, like, it's, like, lofty, whiter, brighter colors.
yeah. Because like, didn't Ghibli make like Castle in the Sky?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Alright, do we have our pick?
I have my pick.
I'm down to go with it. Alright, council has decided.
The
The winner
executives
is
have decided-
Majora's Mask.
Huh?
Should we do a drum roll?
Yeah, drum roll.
Wait, I'm hearing the announcement.
Yeah, y'all have to say it
So,
simultaneously.
Zara and I have both decided that we are going with Skyward Sword!
Yay.
And it's gonna be made by Netflix. Good luck with that one.
Oh God!
Moral of the story, honestly, if you put enough care into it, I think any Zelda game would make
Yes.
a great movie
No, yeah.
adaptation. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming to the panel. I've been Melody,
I've been Czar.
I've been Ryan.
I've been Tommy.
and this has been VGHL. We'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.
And that recording.